Our first speaker tonight is someone many of you know fairly well, but you may not know his story. Every year he makes a point to focus this event on you, your loved ones, and their stories, but this year we thought it would be impactful for you to hear from him, to know how he got here and why organ and tissue donation and transplantation is so important. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce the President and CEO of the Transplant Games of America, Mr. Bill Ryan.
Hello, my name is Bill, and I'm a recovering donor dad. You know, most of you know me from the Transplant Games over the last decade, and I've never spoken about my personal story. I always felt there were more important people to talk about. So I've never done it in 38 years and told this story, so it's happening for the first time. Not sure I'll get through it in my normal manner, but you're going to get it raw and from my heart. My daughter Michelle died October 6th, 1986. They kept her alive on a machine for a few days and then donated her organs. She was in the Venice hospital. And just to give you an idea of the program back in the mid-'80s, you know, the National Organ Transplant Act was passed in 1984. And organ donation before that time was a haphazard kind of a different way of doctors found their own donors and did their transplants in a very experimental way. There's a great movie that we're going to show on Tuesday called Burden of Genius. If you have the opportunity to, to come by and watch that film, it'll tell you a lot about the early days of organ donation. But in 1984 and then in 1985. They passed the Reconciliation Act, which basically set up OPTN and gave states the responsibility for providing written procedures for doing organ donation. So in 1986, when Michelle died in a car accident, there were new rules kind of just coming forth. And, frankly, a lot of people, including me, didn't really know a lot about organ donation or transplantation at the time. So somehow this 18-year-old girl, fresh out of high school, signed up for college in the fall, had made up her mind when she turned 18 that she wanted to become an organ donor. What was that? I mean, we didn't really know much about it, certainly. Her life, she lived on Gasparilla Island in Florida, and her mom called her a turtle stopper because the turtles used to try to cross the road, and she was always stopping her car to pick up a turtle and take it off the road so it wouldn't get run over. But that was kind of the spirit that she had. So her decision to become an organ donor started at 18. And little did we know that 6 weeks later, she would die in a car accident. I've lost a second daughter. Her name is Angela. She had a physical condition that took her away from us a few years later. She was not a candidate to be an organ donor. But Michelle, we donated her heart, her kidneys, her lungs, or I'm sorry, not her lungs, her liver, kidneys, long bones, cornea. The reason we buried an 18-year-old girl with a healthy set of lungs because they weren't doing lung transplants in 1986. The first successful lung transplant in 1986 was done in Toronto, Canada, and the woman lived 15 years. So, but I don't know if it's you can do this on Google, but it was such a novel thing back in 1986 that the Sarasota Times on Friday, October 10th, published a front page story, and the headline detailed Michelle's organ donation to a 62-year-old Italian gentleman from Tampa, and it was done at Tampa General Hospital. So that was our introduction to transplantation. What it didn't, we learned about the procedures and all the things that went along with it, and I distinctly remember the people that we dealt with at the Venice Hospital where she was at, the care and the giving that they provided us as a family, in preparation for her to make her donation, and it still gives me strength and courage to go on with that. But our journey then started with a broken heart. We buried her on Gasparilla Island, and the services were on a street lined with banyan trees. And if you have the opportunity to look up what a banyan tree looks like, it's almost like a shroud. It's a beautiful tree. But 38 years ago, I had to learn how to say goodbye to a child. I'm still learning how to say goodbye. So I made up my mind that you had to come up with a way to survive and go on. And the lessons I learned from dealing with loss: 1, get up every day. 2, remember a memory that'll make you smile. 3, keep a favorite picture handy. Carry the message of love, because your loved one isn't really gone. And create a mission to sustain the memory. Mine was to take up her mission. She wanted to be an organ donor. She wanted to promote organ donation. Why an 18-year-old girl picked that to deal with after graduating from high school, but mine was to take up her mission. And for 38 years, we continued the fight, pleading, promoting, trying to encourage more organs, trying to convince people that the greatest gift they can make is to donate their organs once they're no longer needed. I won't rest until every person who needs an organ can get one. Thank you, and carry on the fight.